If you're on a GLP-1 like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound, there are foods that you are going to want to avoid, and some of these might surprise you. I'm Anna, registered dietitian, GLP-1 user, and today I'm going to break down exactly what foods you need to not eat and avoid on your GLP-1 journey so you can get the best results, maximize your weight loss, and minimize side effects. And you might be surprised by what I have to say because it might not be what you think, probably isn't what you think. So as a dietitian, I truly believe that all foods can fit into a healthy dietary pattern. I am never going to tell you to avoid carbs. I am never going to tell you to avoid your favorite foods. The thing is that we sometimes eat too much of these foods and not enough of the foods that are good for us, that nourish our bodies, and that help keep our weight under control. I don't want you to watch this video and have like a black and white idea about food. Many patients, when I would see patients in my office, would come in and say, give me a list of foods I can and can't eat. And that's not really a thing, because there aren't any foods you can and can't eat, like a blanket statement that's black and white. This works for everybody. This works for everybody. That doesn't exist. Okay. So let's get that out of the picture. If you do want to know what to eat on a GLP-1, I made a video about it just for you. So you can check out that video in my playlist. So you can look at the foods you want to eat, because it's much more positive to think about the foods you can eat rather than all of the things you maybe shouldn't eat as much of. So really, as a dietitian, as a GLP-1 user, as a human, there is only one category of food that I think you really should just never eat. And it's not even really food. And that is sugar sweetened beverages, sodas, energy drinks, sweet teas. And I live in the South and I love me some sweet tea. But these are, I can't even call it a food because it's a drink. These are things that have no nutrition and are just loaded with sugar for no nutritional value. And you drink a large sweet tea, and that's got 200, 300 calories, depending on the size, and you still want to eat a full meal. If you want to lose weight on a GLP-1, you need to eliminate sweetened drinks. And I am not opposed to drinks sweetened with artificial sweeteners, as long as you're not drinking like 10 a day. If it helps you to transition to like a Coke Zero rather than a regular Coke, like I would just rather you not drinking the ones with the calories, end of the day. And along that goes candy. Candy, Skittles, Sweet Tarts. It's fun, and around Halloween, my kids bring it in and I might have some here and there, but you should also not be really eating a lot of candy. It is similar to the sugary drinks. It's not liquid, so it's not quite as easy to just guzzle down. This is water, by the way. It's not quite as easy to guzzle down as a sweet beverage might be, but it's not giving you any nutrition. So a piece of candy here and there, you walk by the candy dish at the office once a week or something and you get it, is not the end of the world, but it's not going to support your goals if you want to lose weight or you want to cut back on your calories. And if you're on the GLP-1 for blood sugar, it is definitely not going to do anything for your blood sugar. So the cool thing about GLP-1s, though, is that a lot of people really report that they don't have an uncontrollable sugar craving anymore. So you may not even need to worry about that type of food. Like it might be, a non-issue for you and you're fine with letting it go. But the one food really that I would say you need to completely eliminate and avoid on a GLP-1 is sugar sweetened beverages. And that includes those coffee drinks from like Dunkin' or whatever. Also not a good way to start your day. The rest of the foods that we're going to talk about avoiding are actually kind of personal and based on your individual tolerance of these foods. I've been on a GLP-1 for 2 years and I can eat pretty much whatever I want. There isn't anything that has really bothered me, that has caused indigestion, that has made side effects worse. So it's going to depend on the person. So one thing that people do say bothers them while on a GLP-1 is eating really high-fat, greasy food. So things like fried chicken, onion rings, French fries. Fat does slow your digestion like normally. And when you're on the medication, your digestion is already slow. So this could make like nausea, reflux, burping, that kind of thing worse. If you're prone to vomiting on the medication, that can make it worse. So If you are sensitive to fatty foods, I would just go slowly on it. Try to eat a smaller portion if you really want to have it, or just really limit your intake of those if they don't make you feel your best. But like I said, for me, I can eat a hamburger, I can eat French fries, and I don't feel sick afterwards. Now, if you're eating a bunch of hamburgers and French fries and greasy, high-calorie foods all the time, is that going to support your weight loss goals? No. So be honest about what you're actually eating and the calories you're bringing in outside of it possibly causing side effects. Next thing is foods that are just like easy to scarf down. These are typically high carbohydrate foods. I am not an anti-carb person. I am a bread lover. I love pasta. I have not eliminated carbs while losing weight on a GLP-1, but sometimes a large bowl of white pasta or potato chips or foods that are just like easy to overeat are not really supporting your goals. And it's not that you have to avoid these foods, especially if you can keep like a portion. So if you really, really want the potato chips, I always tell my kids, they like to eat out of the bag, and I say, put them in a bowl and eat the bowl. Like, it's not that you can't have the food, it's that you want to watch the portion because you know that these are not the best foods for you. The other thing is that you may want to look for higher protein options or lower carbohydrate options of these foods, usually like breads or pastas that have a lower carbohydrate count have a higher fiber count. And so that makes you feel full a lot faster. And so you can still have the pasta, but you're just eating more fiber, and they usually have more protein too. So there's a lot of options out there. You don't have to like be so strict with never eating pasta, never eating carbs, never eating this, because there are like lower carbs, higher fiber options that you can go for. The next thing we'll talk about is alcohol. So alcohol is not necessarily banned on GLP-1. It can make nausea worse, especially if you're struggling with side effects. I will say that one of the only times that I have thrown up on this medication outside of the weird side effects that I have had, and you can watch this video about what happened in Paris to me, is when I drank too much Snoop Dogg wine. So Snoop, I love Snoop Dogg. I love him, but his wine and I do not jive. So it was maybe the alcohol, it was maybe that particular kind of wine, because I do drink other types of alcohol and I do drink wine still, but that was the one time that a food made me throw up, and I can have like a direct correlation between those two things. So, people do report that they want to drink less because of kind of the nausea and just like the general feeling of like not really wanting it anymore. So if you don't want to drink, like, alcohol is empty calories. Not drinking will help you get to your goal faster. So that's something to consider. And because of how the medication works, you may feel more intoxicated faster. So I would just be careful with how much you are drinking especially if you are first getting started, because you don't want to get overly sick or anything like that. But this is really based on the individual and your personal preference and what you want to do. Of course, alcohol has a lot of negative health side effects that you may want to consider as well. And then the final thing, and this is really going to be individuals, is sparkling carbonated beverages. Sometimes people really feel bloated or like their digestion is even slower with these types of drinks. So if you're struggling with a lot of like bloating, nausea, burping, that kind of thing, you may just want to switch to just non-sparkling beverages, avoid the seltzers and the sodas and that kind of stuff. So there really isn't, at the end of the day, foods that you need to avoid because of the medication. Instead, I kind of want you to switch your mindset, not into so much black and white thinking about food, but what are the foods that are going to support my journey? And those foods are high protein foods, high fiber foods, foods that are rich in various nutrients that your body needs. And most of those are, whole foods that are less processed, that have less added sugar, less added fat. And that's not to say you can't enjoy foods that you like, as long as they work for you and don't make you feel bad. I think that it's totally fine, but you can. What I love about this medication is that it allows you to have that balance. So for me, I really try to eat a well-balanced diet during the week and, keep to the high protein, high fiber foods. And that gives me a little bit of more flexibility on the weekend if I do want to eat something that I really enjoy or tastes good. So if you want more help with your nutrition on a GLP-1, I have a GLP-1 Hub store. And in there, you're going to find my Beyond the Shot guide that gives you all of the basics of everything that you need to start your GLP-1 journey. And that includes meal plans, that includes tips to reduce side effects, that includes how to plan meals even outside of the meal plans that I provide. In there, you'll also find a bunch of recipe collections on the website. So a breakfast, lunch, and dinner guide, and a 30-day meal plan as well. So if you need more support around what to eat, what not to eat, you can find all of those nutrition resources over there. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because I publish a new video every Friday about various GLP-1 tips or just my personal journey as a registered dietitian on a GLP-1. So I'll see you in the next video.